Hi, it's Max. Welcome back to The Art of the Craft. Tonight I'm going to be doing steamed mussels and garlic and white wine broth. I know you're thinking this is fancy, something that you'd get at a restaurant, but the truth is it takes maybe 5 minutes from start to finish. I got 99 problems, but this dish ain't one. Let's get cooking. This dish seems to be very fancy and it's probably something that you're getting at restaurants. But the whole thing takes maybe 5 minutes start to finish. Break this dish down into its component pieces. That way we can assemble it all together. First step is the aromatics. We're going to be using shallots and garlic, so make sure that they're cut thinly and the garlics are smashed. You can never have too much butter. I'm going to be using 5 tablespoons of unsalted butter. That way I can control the salt later. I also want some white wine. I'm going to be using a dry white wine in this case. Make sure that whatever you have isn't overly floral, isn't overly sweet. A dish this rich is definitely going to require a little bit of acid to brighten it up. I'm going to be using lemons for that. And then you want to add your own twist to the dish. You could use parsley. I'm going to use thyme, but I've also seen bay leaves used. All right, guys, we're here in the kitchen. What I've got is a Dutch oven. I'm going to be cooking about 3.5 or 4 pounds of mussels, and that's why I have such a large vessel. It's going to make a lot of extra, I don't know what you call it, juice. That's great to dip with bread or French fries. I know that sounds a little weird. Paris, Belgium, they know what I'm talking about. All right, let's put this all together. Start the timer. Hot pot, I said it before, make sure that your pot is preheated. I've got 5 tablespoons of butter here. I know it seems like a lot, but remember, I've got 4 pounds of mussels. It's gonna go into a wonderful rich sauce. Make sure that you have a wooden or Teflon spatula. I have a great wooden one here that I use. Now, we don't want the butter to brown. We're gonna put all of the aromatics that I mentioned earlier, those shallots and garlic in there. So let's let this get just a little melted. And now let's start with the aromatics. First things, we're going to start with these shallots right here. So go ahead and put those in. Shallots are going to cook a little bit longer than the garlic does, so I'd like to start with those. Garlic is kind of a volatile ingredient. If you're not careful, it'll start to burn. So I always like to give the onion or any other vegetable that I'm cooking a little bit of time before I throw in the garlic. That way it only has to cook just enough to release its flavors and start mellowing out. And that's really what we're trying to do here, is mellow out these, they're actually called alums, the onions and garlics and things. We want that sweet, kind of caramelized notes in it. We don't want the harsh flavors from it. This is looking perfect. And you can see these are starting to soften up. Now this is exactly the time I would tell you to start to add your garlics. So I've put 5 cloves of garlics and they've been chopped, and we're gonna throw them in here. You certainly want them cut fine, but they don't need to be absolutely minced or like crushed, because they're going to be cooking a little bit, so you've got some flexibility with the actual size. If you're watching over here, I'm controlling this temperature manually. I'm trying to keep it medium to medium high so that the onions and garlic continue to cook, but they don't brown. We're going to go ahead and start the action now. So I'm going to throw in about 2 cups of a good dry white wine. Turn the heat high so that you have the heat building in your pot. And we're going to cook this down a little bit. Super easy. Just let it cook for a second. You want to get that raw alcohol flavor out of it. Maybe about 60 seconds is what we're going to cook this in. It's going to reduce maybe by half. So what I've got here are my mussels. This is about 3.5 or 4 pounds of mussels. What I've done is put a colander inside of a bowl, and the ice is on top. So the ice can actually drip through into the bottom of the bowl. The mussels stay cold, but they're not sitting in water. Take any herbs or anything that you've got. Like I said, I've got some thyme from my garden, so we're gonna go ahead and throw that in. You can throw it in as one bunch. It doesn't need to be cut up because it's flavoring. And then we're gonna take all of these mussels, throw them just on top in the pot like so. Give it a good stir. Beautiful. All right, now stick the lid on and leave it there for about 2 minutes. That's it. All right, we're about a minute into the cooking. I'm gonna take the lid off and just toss those mussels again. You can see they're already starting to open up. Absolutely perfect. Guys, how long have we been cooking? 3 minutes total? All right, put the top back on. I only think it's fair, since the mussels got so much wine, the chef should too. it's been about a minute. I've turned the heat off. Inside the pot, these have been steaming for maybe 2 minutes. What has happened is all of that wine and all of the butter and garlic has really come together, but it's steamed those mussels and they've released a little bit of juice each one themselves. It's called liquor. I know that sounds weird, but that mixes with the broth that you have. So what we want to do now is go ahead and take these guys out. See, absolutely beautiful. Now I have here, this is a kitchen instrument. It's called a spider. I'm sure you've seen it in maybe some Asian restaurants. Go to your kitchen supply store, go online and grab it. It's cheap and it's the most amazing invention in the world. But what we're gonna do is take our mussels out because we want to strain them quickly. That broth in the bottom, we're gonna kind of reduce it for another minute or so just to make it incredibly rich. We're gonna finish the sauce and kind of kick it up. So first thing, we want to salt and pepper it. We're gonna add a little bit of butter. This is called mounting when you add butter to the finishing sauce. Now, I've got some lemon here. I always like lemon, it adds a little brightness, so just squeeze it through your fingers, add that acid. You don't want to cook the lemon in this case, you're just kind of adding it at the very end of your sauce to brighten those flavors some. Now that that's melted, I'm turning off the heat. The only thing we have left to do is I'm gonna add a little bit of cream. You can also use a creme fraiche, you can use a Pure Nod if you have a liquor, but it just, oh, look at that. Absolutely makes it wonderful, silky smooth. And that is going to be our broth for the mussels. Less than 5 minutes total. Let's plate it up, get to dinner, come on. Little crusty bread here for decoration. I've got some lemon, some thyme on top. It looks absolutely beautiful. You'd think you'd be in a restaurant right now if you didn't know any better. 5 minutes in the kitchen, you get this. Catch you next time. Okay, let's put it together, guys. We need a bowl, which is somewhere. Okay, let's put it together, guys. So we got a bowl, stunt bowl. I hope you enjoyed this episode. For more recipes, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button.